Mr. Norman, Ms. Leger Fernández, you're recognized.
Hello, Chairwoman. We are back, aren't we? And we're back on Epstein, which is where we were before, indeed, Johnson shut down Congress early so we would not have to vote on a motion to put on the floor of the House the Massey kind of resolution to force the release of the Epstein files to the public, to pass a bill that would make it law that all of the files would have to be released. And there is no reason why we cannot still have that be a rule. And we can do both. But Republicans, and Trump especially, seem terrified of those files and seem willing to do all kinds of things to avoid a vote on that bill.
I know.
Now, I want to go into some other things, but I'm going to yield some time to my ranking member.
No, I would just want to respond to Mr. Norman. I knew there was some there when this administration was trying to hide everything. And that's, quite frankly, what, what has a lot of us concerned about what we're not doing here today, and that is not voting on the Massey counter bill. And my understanding is that there's some reporting out now, we're hearing, that the White House is calling Republican members, asking them not to sign onto the discharge petition. And I don't even know what the hell happened to your resolution that you brought up before we kind of abruptly left early for our August recess. But yeah, this doesn't smell right. I think we need to get to the bottom of this, and that means that all the files have to be released. I yield back, I thank the gentlelady.
Thank you, Ranking Member. And, I am chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus, and we are always concerned about the fact that in this country, women and children and girls are attacked, they are abused, they are raped, they are trafficked. And they are done so by men like Epstein and by women like Maxwell Ghislaine. And I think that it is an outrage, as you pointed out, Ranking Member Garcia, that she has now been treated favorably by the Trump administration after saying some things they liked. And what we haven't heard from you, Chair Comer, is a commitment not to say, well, it's going to be in the subpoenas, but to have a hearing on why. Will you commit to having a hearing to determine why she was moved to a more favorable conditions after that interview?
We'll have a hearing to determine the crimes that were committed. The hearing's going to be geared towards seeking justice for the victims, not scoring political points like you all want. We're concerned about the victims and their request that someone finally be held accountable, because they weren't during the Biden administration, they weren't during the Obama administration.
I'm going to take.
They weren't during the Clinton
Chairman
administration.
Comer, the question was whether you would hold a hearing as
We'll
to
have
why
a hearing.
She was transferred. Why she was transferred after that.
We'll have a
interview.
hearing, and if
so
someone
the
wants to
answer is
ask
no.
that
So
question,
the
they
answer
can
is
ask
no.
it. You can
So the
ask any
answer is
question.
no.
We'll have a hearing.
But it wasn't a hearing on what the question was. And
You want to have a whole hearing, a whole entire hearing, not about the victims, not about a government cover-up, not about human trafficking, but about Maxwell, who you all were like begging to be deposed, and I did the subpoena. Now you want to, now you're mad because she exonerated Trump. We brought in Bill Barr, who is I don't think it's any secret that he and Trump aren't best of friends,
I'm going to reclaim my time.
Well, that's
Reclaim
fine.
the time. The question wasn't about shouldn't we do all these things, but this is something very specific that indeed, as I understand, the victims raised today, they're outraged that this has happened. And it is indeed a re-traumatization when somebody who has done such horrible things is then treated favorably under these conditions. And I think that's where it's at. And I really want to thank you, Ranking Member Garcia, because you focused in your opening remarks about the horrors of what you heard today and of why it is so important for the survivors that they get justice. And it needs to come in many forms. And I think the fact that Trump doesn't want us to vote on this bill tells you a lot, right? And why are Democrats worried? We are worried because Trump keeps distracting and lying about things, right? Anytime he doesn't like something, he distracts and he lies. He claims inflation is down, but America's working families who are paying more for energy and groceries know the truth. Our small businesses are closing because of those tariffs. Trump didn't like the fact that Americans are losing jobs, so he fired the person who gathers the data. And with the Epstein files, he's terrified of what's in those files, and he knows his name will keep coming up again and again. And it is tied to the fact that Trump himself, Representative Garcia, you know that he's been accused of sexual misconduct at least 28 times. He's found liable by a jury of his peers for sexual abuse and defamation. So we're not going to be surprised when we find out that his name has been in his files, and we want to see what they are. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I think we want to know what Attorney General Bondi told the president as it relates to his name being in the files, and has been widely reported. And I think the American public they have a right to know.
Right. And I think that Americans are worried about trusting Republicans on this because now Chairman Comer is saying we're doing all these things. Had they done anything at all before Democrats forced the vote on the subpoena? Had Oversight done anything on
Well,
this
I think
before?
that's a good reminder. I mean, the vote was a forced vote by a subcommittee of Democrats on Oversight, where we got not all, but some Republicans to join all Democrats to subpoena the Epstein files. And had Democrats not taken that action, we'd have no subpoena, and we'd still be much further back in this investigation.
Right. And there were 2 Democrats who voted against that subpoena. Is that correct?
All Democrats.
I mean, sorry, 2 Republicans. All Democrats. Democrats forced the vote. Oversight had not done anything with regards to this until Democrats forced the vote, and then you had 2 Republicans vote against it nevertheless. Is that correct?
Including the subcommittee chairman, I believe.
Including the subcommittee chairman. So leaders in the committee voted against the subpoenas. Now they're taking, and so this is why Americans might be worried about whether they're going to be forthcoming. Now, Chairman Comer, this resolution would give you, and only you, the power to decide what information in these documents is redacted or withheld. Is that correct?
Well, we're trying to do this in a bipartisan manner. Our staffs are communicating. I think, I hope Mr. Garcia would agree. I think our staffs, he's new to the job, and I think our staffs are working together really well, and hopefully we'll continue to work well. Like I said, I want this to be bipartisan. I don't want members of the committee, and members of the committee haven't been making the accusations that members of the Rules Committee have been making that, this isn't bipartisan. We want this to be a bipartisan investigation. We want to get the truth, and hopefully we'll do that. And you're trying to, I feel like, create a false narrative here to say that the Trump administration isn't working. They have been turning over the documents. And I mean,
So
I
what
feel
we've
like
heard-
we're on a pretty good roll here.
So, Chairman Comer, I appreciate that fact that you said you want to work on a bipartisan basis on this, but the resolution does not require you to consult with the ranking member.
The only thing that's going to be redacted are names of victims.
Does the resolution give the ranking member any role in approving redactions? And if you want to be bipartisan, would you be willing to accept an amendment to?
I'm making a pledge to work with Mr. Garcia. Hopefully, he'll keep Mr. McGovern and Mr. Raskin out of the room, and we can get some good things done in a bipartisan manner.
Well, a pledge is a wonderful thing, but an amendment that actually puts it into writing would be great. Would you be willing to accept that amendment?
I think the resolution's good, and hopefully we'll vote it out in a bipartisan manner. And if we need to use that as a basis in court to get more documents, we'll do that.
Okay, so you're not willing to actually put it in writing that you will, that the ranking member will be consulted before you approve.
I guarantee that I'll consult with them a heck of a lot more than Elijah Cummings and Carolyn Maloney consulted with me when they were chairman of the
I'm not
committee.
asking about past, I'm asking about what this is. And this is the problem, and the reason why we're concerned about this is, Chairman Comer, I've read accounts of you describing yourself as a Trump man.
As a what?
Trump man. I'm a Trump man. You said,
Well,
I'm a Trump man.
I mean,
Yes.
I
So
support the president.
you support the president, and this is why it would be important to have in writing the bipartisan nature, because we want there to be bipartisanship, so that it is not a
I
Trump
want
man.
it too, but
So it
you
is
all
not
aren't making a good case
I was
up here, but
speaking.
I'm hopeful that Mr. Garcia
Chairman
is going to
Comer, I
see
was
past
speaking.
the behavior
Chairman
of the
Comer,
Democrats
I
on the
was
Rules
speaking.
Committee.
Madam Chair, Chairman Comer, I was speaking. And I think that it is important that we have people looking at these docs that are not a Trump man, so that we can make sure that everything gets responded to, because right now, we haven't seen it. And that's why we want to make it the law of the land. We
Look,
want to make sure that all Republicans vote on the Massey-Connor resolution, so that they can say, we want to make sure it becomes available to everybody without it going through any process of redaction. I think that's the key.
Ms.
It's good
Leger.
to have your investigation, but it's good to have other things too.
Ms. Leger Fernández, do you want to vote tonight? Would you like to vote tonight? They're going to call the vote at 20 minutes after. And so I don't know if you want to finish before I'm going
At
to
20
make
minutes
a
after, I think
recess.
I'll be done before 20. I think
I'm
I
gonna-
have less than 40 minutes.
I'm going to call for a recess in about 3 minutes so that we can go vote.
Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to see if there was anything else that the ranking member wanted to add to this discussion.
And I think the only thing that I think is important is all Republicans who support transparency and accountability should support the Thomas Massey resolution. I think it's clear. It puts everyone on record. One would actually be a law versus a resolution. And again, we're happy to support any resolution or any effort to support transparency. And I think the same should be said for the other side of the aisle in support of this resolution, which is bipartisan.
Right. We can do both.
We can do both.
So if we can do both, I look forward to everybody on this committee doing both, voting for this and signing on to either an amendment or the discharge petition. With that, Madam Chair, I yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Leger Fernández. We were